2023, we've got plenty to talk about, but a very short period of time. We've actually got to jump on a production meeting following this here shortly. But I brought along two of my loan officers to give you guys some on-the-ground perspective of what's going on. So without further ado, let's introduce the two loan officers I brought. We have Senior Loan Officer Matthew Stansbury and Loan Officer Nichole Kelley. Agüero.
Kind of.
Sort of. How y'all doing?
We're doing good. It's a great day.
Amen to that. So what's going on with the market? What's going on? Let's give these folks some real insight as to what's actually taking place. There's a lot of folks out there that are spreading fear with their own hidden agendas. There are a lot of folks that are giving market advice, but truly not doing the research behind it. And then there are people that are giving plenty of advice, but not in the trenches or in the thick of things. So I want to, I guess, give you guys the floor and let's talk about what the hell's going on. What are you guys seeing out there?
I'm seeing a lot more action than I was a month ago.
Yeah,
definitely.
And what do you mean by action?
More calls, more people willing to hear what we have to say, asking questions, getting active, and actually they're like, well, this is a situation that I'm in. I want to stop renting. How do I make it happen?
Yeah.
And they're getting serious about it.
Yeah. And I think coming out of the holidays, a lot of people are getting out of that fear of buying. You know, your funds get tied up with, you know, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all that. So coming into the new year, they're looking forward to doing something different, taking that next step, achieving the goal of home ownership. Definitely. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of folks that are getting away from the fear of these interest rate hikes and coming to terms with this is kind of the new norm for a little while. And also seeing that property values have not really gone backwards, at least in our area. And when I say our area, we focus heavily on San Antonio, surrounding areas, and all of Texas here at iTHINK Mortgage. But definitely you're seeing price reductions, and I like to call them price corrections, because if you're overpricing it by $100,000 and you're bringing it down by 50, well, you're still kind of over, but at the same time, it holds us homeowners and our values a little bit stronger than other states. So yeah, and then here in San Antonio, just a quick fact that 57% of homes that were sold in the last year actually sold undervalued. But the value of homes have actually increased $28,000 on average in San Antonio. I
see. No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, those of you that are homeowners out there listening to this, all you have to do is look at your tax bill. I mean, your taxes have increased substantially, and hopefully you've put your homestead exemption on there, which has allowed you to take advantage of the 10% cap that Texas has. Super important that you do that. And if you have not, visit bcad.org, fill out your form, send in your documentation, and get that homestead put on there, because now is the time. I think you have until probably February to get that on there?
I think it's April at the very latest. And especially if you bought a house last year, you want to make sure that you take advantage of that homestead exemption.
Absolutely. That is not something that is automatic. So please keep that in mind and throw your homestead on there ASAP. It typically will take about $15,000 to $20,000 off the appraised value. And this is the drive-by appraised value. But in addition to that, it'll save you from year over year astronomical growth factors like what we saw recently. Yeah. So what else, guys? What else is happening out there? What are you seeing with the conversations that you're having with realtors, with the buyers? Is it more educational? They're obviously a little bit more open to listening to what you have to say. And are people getting a little bit more realistic? And when I say realistic, I mean a year ago, with rates in the threes, you could buy a $300,000 house. Fast forward to today, and that same borrower can only technically afford, or I can't even say afford, even if they afforded it prior to, their expectations are incorrect. So they're thinking that that same $300,000 should be X payment, when in fact it's like a $220,000, $250,000 payment that gets them to where they were. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think I work with primarily a lot of first-time home buyers. That's my niche right now. So a lot of them are going into it thinking, well, I want an $1,100 payment and I want to shop at $300,000 or $250,000. And then once we share the Zoom call, I'm like, okay, well, this is what your all-in mortgage payment is. So you put in that educational piece, but your principal and interest is $1,100. So that's where you want to be. But I'm going to have you pay this, this, and this included in it. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, so that's how it works. Right. I'm like, yes, that's exactly how it works. So while it's not everything you want, just being able to educate them so that they don't feel like they don't know what's going on. Right. Because when they're going out shopping, they feel vulnerable. They're scared. And so having that education, knowledge is power. So then they go into it. We run numbers before they look at it and they're like, is this home providing the value for this dollar amount? Absolutely. So just kind of shifting it instead of like, I need a $900 payment. Okay, well then this is our price range. Like let's talk about it instead of them feeling like the answer is no, because the answer is never no. It's when.
That's exactly right. I love that philosophy. It's almost like you were coached by Mark Jones or something.
True.
That's awesome.
I've seen that. I've had borrowers that have applied with us in the past, but say anywhere from 6 to 9 months or so. And in that time frame, they applied, they qualified, let's say 250. They're just like, all right, rates are super insane right now, Matt. They're just increasing. I think we'll just wait a couple months. And I'm like, hey, that's not a good idea. Our expectations are rates are going to increase, which now we're kind of plateauing. Come 6 months, 9 months later, and they're wanting that same purchase price. They're like, hey, rates have gone up. We're not going to wait anymore. Let's go ahead and get this ball rolling. And they no longer qualify for that 250. They're looking more 220, 200,000. And I think now, you mentioned it earlier, I feel like people are getting realistic in knowing that, hey, these rates aren't going down for a while.
Right. And I'm going to miss out if I don't get off the fence and put my hat in the ring. And I explained this to two borrowers yesterday, actually, and it was the idea of waiting to rent, let's say, another year. Well, a year down the road, you may be in the same income situation, but unfortunately, the homes are going to continue to rise in value. Why? Because we're not seeing what everybody thought was going to happen, which is a crash in our market. People, I think I was talking to you earlier, somebody earlier, about the fact that we are in an industry where it's almost a necessity at some point in somebody's life. You come to the crossroads of, okay, I qualify for a mortgage. Do I continue to rent and pay my landlord's mortgage, or do I start building my own equity for myself, my family, etc.? So that being said, you've got to find a spot that you throw your hat in the ring regardless, because if you're buying 100, 200, 300, 400,000, whatever your price bracket allows right now, the goal is in the future, you'll have equity to then make different moves. But it's a progression. It's about what Mick Mills says, it's about levels, right?
Yeah.
And then, one thing too, that a lot of home buyers think that waiting for the interest rates to come down, or waiting for home values to go down, or waiting until the summertime. Well, what they don't see is that's going to open up even more competition. So they're going to go into the housing market thinking, I'm going to make an offer, it's going to get accepted. Sure, that might be what's going on right now in January, but in the summertime, now we have everyone competing. We've got people who are a little bit more qualified, selling their home, having cash offers. Then it's not going to be as
advantageous.
Yes, because you get in now, granted, the rates are a little bit higher. A year, 2 years down the road, who's to say you can't refinance or even sell the home and get into what you really wanted in the first place? Park your money, have it grow, and then leverage.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because we are actually rolling out a brand new campaign here at iTHINK Mortgage. And it's basically called the Rate Redo. And the Rate Redo, you can find it on our website, ithinkmortgage.com. We are allowing those borrowers that purchase with us within the next, until I believe March, as of right now, the ability to refinance your mortgage within a 2-year period with no lender fees moving forward. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as time goes on, but you definitely can read more about that on our website at ithinkmortgage.com. But before we sign off on this, we've got a quick article that we want to go over with you guys. So let's switch over to that real quick before we sign off.
And just to
sure.
piggyback off what y'all were talking about, just to let y'all know that in San Antonio, fun fact, there's 720,000 renters. And of those, 183 of you guys, 183,000 of y'all can afford to buy a house.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what do you think? I'll ask you both. What do you think is the number one reason why they don't?
Fear.
100% fear, because they don't want to be denied.
Or lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge, lack of education, thinking that it's going to hurt their credit, thinking that they have too low of a credit score, things of that nature. I mean, you can find, actually, I put out a YouTube video about this, the top 3 reasons why renters don't follow through with their application. It's fear of getting a credit inquiry, fear that their credit is too low, and then just fear in general, period. Yeah, that's a great point. Yep. Great point. Let's jump into this article real quick. Nichole brought this article to our attention. And Nichole, you want to read this bad boy and we can go over this?
Yes. So this is from Rocket Homes. It's a San Antonio housing market report. What it is a recap of kind of what's going on in a little bit more of a visual sense.
Yeah.
So since December, the housing market conditions, we have sellers, neutral, or buyers. We're still a little bit of a seller's market. We're heading back towards a neutral market due to the inventory. So,
and I want to talk about that for just a moment, because this thing is showing that it is mostly a seller's market.
It doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't feel like it. I feel like we're almost neutral. Now, it's supposed to take time for this to actually flip the other way. And you know that because the amount of inventory that's on the market. So the inventory is still scarce out there, which is holding values higher. Just because you're able to now get closing costs, just because you're able to get a possible price reduction does not mean it's a seller's market. Buyer's market. Buyer's market is when there is too much inventory and we're now starting to just hack at these prices. And then we've got this implosion of price coming down. We're not there yet. So, I mean, I think it's pretty accurate, but go ahead.
Yeah, and the average amount of days that a home's been on the market at the end of this year, it went up to 56 days as of December from 36 in November.
And I think that's on here too.
Scroll down. Let's see what else we've got on here. Okay.
Oh, so the medium sold price. So this is interesting. So it's the sold price, not the list price. The median is going for about $278,709. And it also breaks it down by how many bedrooms that are being sold and what price in each of those. So
let's point that out right there. The viewers can see this on their screen at the moment, and it says median sold price $278,709, which is 166 per square foot. That's all of the residential properties in that equation. But that big red number that I see below there is a leading indicator that we're not seeing prices being cut to the point that it's switching to that buyer's market. That month over month, 11.5% increase in the median. So you tell me if you don't put your hat in the ring, you're going to lose out, right? Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, that's gain in equity of $17,000
in a month.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. It makes me excited because I'm a homeowner. I'm like, wow. So instead of being fearful, I'm excited because I'm in this position where this is happening.
Well, I think it also goes to show that we all have been preaching this good word and doing it on social media and YouTube and things like that for, I don't know, maybe the past year or so. We're not wrong thus far. I mean, it's like confirmation, baby. We're not wrong.
I say that every day. I'm not wrong.
You invested in crypto or did you invest in a home?
Exactly. Good point.
Also, too, paint this picture. So you buy a home today for $278,709. And then next month, worst case scenario, right? Your home is now worth $150,000. You're like, oh man, but you're not selling next month. Isn't that crazy?
And that's something that many people don't actualize or realize is the actualization, because we're talking about these price cuts and values of properties and things of that nature. But that only comes to play when you have to actualize it, when you have to sell your property.
Can you sell a rental?
I mean, good point. You can't. But the idea of, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose money if I do this, or I'm going to wait for them to come down. Well, the idea is, are you planning on selling that home within the next, let's say, 2 to 3 years? First off, if that is the case, you're going to pay property taxes or what is it? Capital gains.
Yes.
You're going to pay capital gains. It's supposed to be your primary residence, but yet you're doing this to make money. Historically, your home is not where you're going to make money like we have in the last 2 previous years. It's where you're going to stash cash. It's where you're going to change your lifestyle. Most people that I know that were renters and moved into a home changed their lifestyle. Instead of going out to eat, they're now at home. Instead of going and visiting friends, they're now having karaoke night at the house, you know, those types of things. So I think if we continue to preach that, for most folks, it'll come to fruition just like it has thus far, right?
Yep.
Let's scroll down and look at a couple more of these stats. We got to jump on this next call here shortly. San Antonio Central, Almost Park.
Homes
Woo!
available in San Antonio.
There we go. So it looks like we had a decrease in the homes available, which means that our inventory is continuing to shrink. I mean, that is what's going to keep our values up, but also keep it in the ball in the seller's court when it comes to it being a buyer's market and a seller's market. When you have limited options, that's just kind of economy.
Just a thought, like coming out of October to November, then leading into December, there was multiple rate hikes, right?
Yeah.
We experienced that. And also it put out a scarcity on the market where people didn't want to buy.
Right.
So then you come into December.
50% drop in mortgage applications nationally.
Yep. So then you come into December and now people are more excited. They're like, okay, this is the new norm. Let's start buying again.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Well, I mean, I think that should cap it off. We do have to jump on this call, but we wanted to give you guys some good insight to what actually is going on in our market. We want to continue to keep you updated. So we'll continue to do these weekly. Did you guys have anything to add before you sign off of this thing?
You don't know what you don't know until you find out from an expert.
What's that hashtag?
And if you don't know, now you know.
For sure. Guys, thanks for listening. If you know anyone that could possibly benefit from this, if you're a realtor, send this to your buyers. Send this to the folks that are out there on the fence. And you want to give them some real insight, some real information from mortgage experts. I will go as far as to say that we are all mortgage experts here. If we don't know the answer to something, we're definitely going to look it up and find out. We're not the type to blow smoke or give you any kind of smoke and mirrors with this stuff, because we're in it for the long haul. We truly believe in what we do. And we also believe that everyone's a homeowner. It's just a matter of when. Our goal is to show you how. So we'll catch you next week. Obviously, like, share, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe, all that good stuff. But we've got to jump on a production call, which is going to enlighten us with even more programs that we can help you guys out with. So that being said, I'm Mark Jones, President, Senior Loan Officer of iTHINK Mortgage. Jump on over to ithinkmortgage.com to check out our new incentives, the buy now and refinance later for free with a little asterisk on there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.